How's it going, everybody? I'm meteorologist Joey Cragness, back with your daily forecast. Today, more severe weather in the south, pretty similar target area as yesterday, and that'll continue to stay the course throughout this week as we get continual waves all the way through Friday affecting the south with severe weather. On the bright side, we have warm weather returning for next week, so should be heating up again with those above average temperatures, prepping that atmosphere for some more severe weather later down the road. Before we get into the weather, When the Storm 2024 is coming up March 16th, 14th through 16th. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday next week down in Dallas. You can use that discount code TRACE to get a discount on your tickets. Come by, say hi. We'll be at booth 606 out there. Yeah. Now looking at some severe weather currently going on in Louisiana, we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings just to the east of Lake Charles. We'd already had a 2-inch report for hail this morning, another golf ball report, as well as a $50 report. So severe weather already kicking off this morning, and it continued all the way through last night. So pretty active start to the day already, and that'll continue as we head into the early afternoon, and then things will kind of slow down just a little bit. Around the rest of the country, those warm temperatures building up over the entire eastern U.S., 70s all the way up into Charleston. We got cold air building in from the north, increasing that temperature gradient, making those storms just a little bit stronger. And then we have another low pressure system sitting off the coast that'll bring our next wave of severe weather as we get into the latter half of the week. Right now in central Oklahoma, we're looking at temperatures in the mid and upper 50s, a couple 60s already out there. Today is going to be a little bit cooler than yesterday was for central Oklahoma, but still on the relatively warm side. Temperatures already getting very close to 80 for the DFW metro. Pretty warm down there. San Antonio, Austin, already well into the 80s out there. Going to be getting pretty close to that 90-degree mark later on this afternoon. Temperatures a little bit cooler around Houston with those thunderstorms, that cold air from those thunderstorms affecting the areas. So 66 degrees in Beaumont, and then we got 80 degrees out in Houston, where they haven't seen any rain or thunderstorms quite yet. More seasonable temperatures out in the Front Range, mid and upper 30s, 41 down in Colorado Springs, 42 up in Greeley, but this is about what they expect for this time of year. So looking at our future radar, we got thunderstorm activity continuing on into early this afternoon. That'll progress farther off to the east as we get into the early evening hours. Those thunderstorms down around Louisiana and Mississippi will kind of weaken a little bit, but we'll get this nice line segment moving on the coast of Florida, bring primarily a wind threat, not too much of a hail threat out there. You might see some hail with some cells that form ahead of that line, but it's going to be mainly a wind threat with that. Maybe a few embedded tornadoes, but mainly looking at wind for that. So today's hail threat, this is the area that we have highlighted with the main target or main impact areas being Little Rock, Shreveport, New Orleans. Like I said, we already have thunderstorms going on down there, so it was a fairly easy forecast to make for the hail map. Just outline where those storms are going to be picking up. Wind fairly similar to that hail area, but then we also have that risk area down in Florida right now. So that'll be earlier on this afternoon or earlier on this evening and into the overnight hours with that tornado threat, mainly just isolated to Florida. The storms in Louisiana and Mississippi right now are more elevated, so that tornado threat is on the lower end out there. Looking at our instability, we have into this afternoon, decent instability out there for the south, and then some solid instability down in Florida ahead of that line moving through later on this evening, and that'll progress as we get into tomorrow when we'll be looking at two different target areas, one being in central Texas ahead of this little nose of instability down there. And again, down in Florida, they could see another risk area for tomorrow for hail, wind, and tornadoes out there. And then that'll diminish as we get into Thursday morning. But this is what we have for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So tomorrow we're looking at this area in Texas, and then as we get into the Florida peninsula later on in the evening, those lingering storms should be affecting that area. And then Thursday, a pretty large risk area, including most of Oklahoma and a good chunk of central Texas. There does seem to be a little bit of more of a bullseye, though, on the western half of this risk area ahead of a weak dry line, but it could be just enough to kick off some stronger storms. The wind shear does look decent. Instability looks decent. It's just a matter of if that dry line is strong enough to kick off some more isolated storms that'll increase that hail threat for Thursday. And then Friday, those storms will linger into the overnight hours Thursday night, and then into Friday morning. It'll progress across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama throughout the day on Friday. Long range, low resolution model showing all that precipitation from today and tomorrow shifting off onto the East Coast to bring some pretty decent precipitation out there. The next system what we're watching kind of weakening as it's moving over the Rockies. It'll just start to strengthen a little bit on the east side of the Rockies, bring some decent rain and thunderstorms to the central U.S. Or south central U.S. Looking pretty good for Thursday afternoon, and then heavy precipitation again for the Gulf Coast. But then into the weekend, things should be clearing out just a little bit. And Lucy, our app is free to use. You do have to pay for a plan, though, to get access to our maps, but the app is free to download. And if you're interested, I'll talk about that at the end of the show on how you can get signed up. But Sunday, precipitation moving off to the east. So 5-day rain chances looking pretty heavy for the Gulf Coast, 3 to 5 inches in portions of Alabama and Georgia. West Coast getting hit pretty good too with that atmospheric river kind of just sitting off the coast there. Day by day, looking at heaviest precipitation today being along the Gulf Coast, farther east as we move into tomorrow, and then Thursday, the central U.S. kind of getting some broad, weaker precipitation out of that. Friday, again, Gulf Coast gets hit pretty good, and then the Ohio River Valley and southeastern U.S. for Saturday. And then Sunday, things should begin to clear up before our next wave of precipitation moves through for the beginning of next week. Looking at our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, above average temperatures expected for most of the country. Some pretty warm temperatures, about going to be seeing 20 to 30 degrees above average for portions of South Dakota, North Dakota, and Minnesota out there. And precipitation-wise, above average expected for the central U.S. and western U.S. as that nose of moisture pushes into the country from the west. But the East Coast could finally be drying out as we head into next week with the upper air pattern setting up the way it is. So that's what we have for today. If you're interested in learning more about us, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. If you're interested in purchasing a plan, go ahead and scan that QR code up above me, or give us a call at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com, or check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. But for now, I'm meteorologist Joey Cragness. Thanks for watching.